Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is episode 190. We're coming up on 200, but we also just celebrated our 4th anniversary. Yay! We'll have big party and stuff and cake on our 5th anniversary if we make it. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. And today's June 30th, 2015.
Okay, welcome to another casual show about General Convention. If you don't know, George is out there in Salt Lake City, and I'm stuck in nice, sunny Connecticut, where the temperature today is about 73 degrees.
It's about 110 here.
I know. I'm finally getting back at you for your wonderful Florida temps. So a lot's been happening at General Convention, and George and I wanted to talk about the money theme. Because the Episcopal Church has money, and one of the discussions with the House of Bishops the other day was, can we make our money green? And can we only invest our money in green things? We want our money to be pure.
Where is my wallet? I like my money green, myself.
And so they're like,
banknotes with Franklins and Jacksons and what.
They're like, can we still invest in Solyndra yet? Is that still there? And so they're looking for things to put green money into. And there's some wise adults in the building, and you're going to laugh when you figure out who they are, who said, I don't mind if the Episcopal Church's 815 checkbook is in an account that's just totally green in their investments. But damn it all, the pension fund's not going to go green. We want money. Who said that?
The Bishop of New Hampshire resigned, Gene Robinson.
No!
Gene Robinson was the grown-up in the room. The bishops were presented a resolution directing the church to have all of its funds put into green activities. Mm-hmm. The pension fund, the church trusts, the checking account at 815, everything should be in a responsible investment portfolio that stayed away from fossil fuels and arms stocks and gambling stocks and alcohol stocks and basically all the fun things in life. And just invest in Al Gore's latest fantasies. Well, this bill came before the House of Bishops, and Gene Robinson rose and said, as a trustee of the Church Pension Fund, I have a fiduciary duty under the laws of the state of New York to make sure that the returns are maximized for our beneficiaries.
Which is true. That's true.
Yes. Yeah. And while I appreciate the intent of the movers of this resolution to change the world through our investment strategy, I have a duty to make sure that the beneficiaries, which are the retired clergy and lay employees of the church, receive the maximum possible return on their pensions.
Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to open up my E-Trade and see where the good money is today. The good money is in Monsanto, some good companies in Israel. There's lots of money to be made out there, Gene and House of Bishops.
Well, and so the bishops then began to debate. And some bishops got up, and I won't name names because I don't want to embarrass them. They do a good enough job on their own embarrassing themselves. But one bishop got up and said, oh, we shouldn't think of the beneficiaries of the pension fund just being the clergy. Mother Earth is a beneficiary of our pension fund. And it was just so wonderful watching these men and women try not to smirk, okay? And see what the Episcopal Church, and so they voted, yes, we'll put our checking accounts, yes, casual Episcopal Church building fund, all these various things we'll ask them to be socially responsible investing, but we're Xing out the pension fund and leave it to the professional managers.
Oh, boy.
We'll encourage them not to invest in white slavery or,
payday loans.
Payday loan lending, but if we're getting a good return, payday loans are okay with us.
Yes.
But we're not going to touch that.
Yeah.
And see, the Episcopal Church, this is the equivalent of buying an Earth Day bumper sticker and putting it on the back of your Hummer.
Right.
The Episcopal Church is driving a Hummer with an Earth Day sticker on the back, and they're not going to trade it in for a Prius or, a bicycle. So the Episcopal Church is very happy telling people how they should live their lives and invest and do all this stuff. But when it comes down to their pockets, their clergy retirement incomes, they're hard-headed as they come. And I am pleased because I'm a beneficiary. I don't want my life savings going to a bag of magic beans that some kooky bishop from San Francisco thinks will save the world.
You don't? Well, okay.
I mean, if I can make a dime out of killing the last few whales on this earth, I think we should go ahead and have our pension fund be fully into whaling.
Survival of the fittest.
For those with no sense of humor, and you know who you are, those grim people, I am being arch. I'm attempting to be dryly humorous. May not work.
It's called sarcasm, and it did work for me. I heard it and I felt it. I did. All right, so that's interesting with the House of Bishops. Now, the House of Bishops have done some other things that are making news, but we're not the only people watching what's going on there. Sure, George may be one of the few reporters there, but there's no... When I went to my first General Convention in 2006 in Columbus, Ohio, there was Fox News, where I sat right next to them in the press room, CNN, PBS, NPR, just all the local reporters were there. There were satellite trucks all out front. And I was sitting next to a gentleman, a reporter for Living Church named Steve Waring. And I'm like, Steve, is it always like this? This is awesome. Steve says, it was in Minneapolis. It is here. But, this is all going to blow over. And you're going to find out that when there's just a real general convention with no topics going, it's just Christian reporters. George, who's reporting from Salt Lake?
Nobody. Diocesan communicators. Right. Your local diocesan newspaper will have a rep here, and they're there to sort of take pictures of the bishop, interview him at the end of the day's things, to tell the troops at home what's going on. Then there's nobody else. There's me. There's David Virtue. There's Jeff Walton from the IRD, and then there's the local stringer for the Associated Press. I give you a sense of things. I was in touch with the Washington Post before the convention to see if they wanted any content. And on Saturday morning, they said, George, if the black guy's elected, we'll take a story.
The black guy's elected.
If the other three are elected, we're not interested. We'll just pick it up from the wire services. And then when Michael Curry actually was elected, they thought, ooh, this is big enough news because he has the Baltimore connection, that they had their own reporter from Washington write the story.
Oh, that's sweet.
But there's nobody here. No. I mean, in the past, this didn't happen at a general convention, but it happened at the Lambeth Primates meeting in 2003. This is a true story. The primates were called to London after Gene Robinson was elected Bishop of New Hampshire, and there was a meeting at Lambeth Palace, an emergency meeting, and Frank Griswold was there, and all the primates were there, and we reporters, and I was there for some church newspapers as well as some secular papers, were all sort of milling about in front of Lambeth Palace, waiting for the news to come out, and this was a big deal, and all of a sudden this huge bus, it's sort of like the type of bus I assume that Dolly Parton drives around Branson, Missouri. A huge black bus with blacked over windows comes by, and the side sort of pops up, and I was expecting missiles to come out of the top. It's a CNN bus, and then this little sort of rat-like man jumps out of the side. It's raining. It is England. He jumps out of the side, holds out an umbrella. The Klieg lights come on, and out comes Christiane Amanpour.
Oh, no.
And she walks out, and all the reporters sort of make a little space for her. And she has the backer up to the entrance of the castle door and gives us, breaking news, this emergency meeting. And then she disappears back in the bus. So we reporters are sitting there in the rain. We're sort of bored, and there's no nearby pub or something, so we have to, what they call backstop, doorstop this meeting. Yeah. Well, Christian Amanpour's staffers started going amongst the press, asking them, what sort of things should he ask? I mean, what should we have? Because she knows nothing about this stuff.
Absolutely.
And so I said, did you know that there's a secret tunnel from here, Lambeth Palace, under the Thames to the Houses of Parliament? Because, Houses of Parliament are right across from on the Thames.
Oh, George.
And during the medieval times and in the English Civil War, King Charles he put his mistress in Lambeth's palace while he was over at Westminster Palace, and he would go under the secret tunnel under the Thames. And later that night, Christiane Amanpour comes out, and there's still no news from the meeting, and she gives this historic palace, which in medieval times serves as a refuge for the king's mistress in times of war. He would visit her under the secret passage underneath. I do not have an opportunity to do that at this general convention.
Oh, boy, yeah. Poor Christiane Amanpour. But, and she does that everywhere. But, yeah, it's uncovered. It's become an irrelevant church for so many reasons. Let's talk quickly about people who are actually watching and paying attention. We got a press report this morning that we posted on Anglican Inc. that the dear Sir Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, says he's a little bit freaked out about what's going on in Salt Lake City.
Justin Welby, 2003, Rowan Williams sent a fax.
That's right.
Now, 2015, Justin Welby puts it out on Facebook and Twitter and his webpage. He is very concerned that the House of Bishops has passed gender-neutral marriage. Mm-hmm. He believes that this will exacerbate the state of affairs within the Anglican Communion. And he could have said something before rather than after. So I really have not had a chance to really digest what this is all about. But it has come as a shock to people here at General Convention because Justin Welby has, George Carey was all over the place and really obnoxious and heavy-handed, the left thought. Mm-hmm. And Rowan Williams was such a disappointment because even though he was one of their own, pacifist socialist weird beard with bad teeth, he still would uphold the communion's doctrines. Sure. Justin Welby, where's Waldo? No, Andrew Waldo, the Bishop of Upper South Carolina, is in the House of Bishops meeting, but Justin Welby is nowhere.
But he has
no influence.
It's an interesting point because Justin Welby just got back from his magical mystery tour going around to all the provinces. He understands now that there's a communion outside of England and outside of the Episcopal Church. And his presser said, basically, you guys need to think about more than just yourselves when you're making these big decisions. You need to think about all the Anglican Communion and the ramifications of this. And then he goes and lists some recent terror attacks, not implying one happens because of the other. But, it's interesting that he has this understanding of global Anglicanism that may not be represented by people at the House of Bishops.
Well, I talked to an advisor to the Archbishop of Jerusalem, a Palestinian priest, an Anglican Palestinian priest. I talked to him the other day, and we were chatting, and he said, what the Episcopal Church does, they may not understand this, and frankly, they may not be able to do anything about it. But when they do stuff like endorse gay marriage and all this, it blows back on us in the Middle East. We Episcopalians are no longer seen as people of the book, meaning Christians who follow the ways of Jesus Christ and whom Muhammad said we should allow them to live. We are becoming, in their eyes, like the Mormons, people, a sect, a splinter, a group not of the book because we repudiate what they see as being the words of the Bible. And what does that result in? They kill us.
Infidels are allowed to be killed. And
so, no, I am not saying that at General Convention has killed anybody.
No.
But what I am saying is that the nuts and kooks in the Middle East respond and take up out on their fellow Christians and non-Muslims perceived outrages that occur in the West.
Mm-hmm. So we'll have more news for you tomorrow. This is kind of we're doing this more casual than normal. You'll see me sip my cup of coffee so my head doesn't fall into my keyboard. K-cups, you can't beat them. And George and I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully we'll record something in at 10, have it up by noon. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. You've been watching episode 190 of Anglican Unscripted. I'm sort of I've just gotten out of the 7-car pileup and I'm alive. I'm not dead, so of course everything's wonderful. So let me give it a day for me to realize, oh my God, my family's been killed, but I walked out unscathed.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to have another casual show about General Convention. A quick update. George is in Salt Lake City, in case you did not know this. He's reporting from General Convention 78. We're just bringing people up to speed. If you haven't watched episode 189, 188, 187. And he's there reporting on the destruction of the Episcopal... No, I'm sorry. He's there reporting on General Council of the Convention. Oh,